Welcome, everybody, to Phandom Knights, where we break down pop culture one fandom at a time. I'm Chris.
I'm Dustin.
And I'm Sherman.
And today, we are talking about Wandavision, Season 1, Episode 4. We interrupt this program, and that's the name of the episode.
I was waiting for something else, too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's cool. That's the title of it. They're having titles for all these ones. And when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, what's this going to be? And
Did it have a title at first?
No, when the first two episodes dropped, they didn't have titles at all.
Yeah, they were just called episode 1 and 2.
I mean, even this episode,
this one
dropped,
did.
it did.
Yeah, this one started with a title. So I'll just kind of go through a quick plot synopsis, and then we'll go through it a little bit here. So,
sure.
We interrupt this program. Captain Monica Rambeau, an agent of S.W.O.R.D., returns to life following the blip to find her mother Maria has died of cancer. 3 weeks later, Monica returns to work and is sent by acting director Tyler Howard to help FBI agent Jimmy Woo, who we've seen before, with a missing persons case in Westview. We need to talk about who the missing person is. They discover a hexagonal static field surrounding the town, which Monica is pulled into. Within 24 hours, S.W.O.R.D. establishes a base around the town and sends drones and an agent in to investigate. Dr. Darcy Lewis is asked to study the phenomena and discovers broadcast signals for the sitcom Wandavision. They use these to observe events inside the town, learn that the real residents have been cast as characters in a sitcom, and Monica's disguised herself as Geraldine. And see Monica, whatever. Darcy and Jimmy unsuccessfully attempt to use the radio to contact Wanda. When Monica mentions Ultron, Wanda is cast out of town. The sitcom illusion disappears, and Wanda sees Vision appear as he did when he died. Horrified, she restores the illusion. Man, there's a lot to unpack in this episode. Let's go through this.
I don't think I've ever used so many exclamation points when taking notes for a single episode. It took me 3 hours to watch this episode the first time.
The first time?
The first time. No joke.
See,
I even broke down. I got a chair set 3 feet in front of the TV and kept pausing in between.
I did that. So this, along with when we went through Mandalorian and stuff, I like to... The first watch through, I just sit back, I don't take notes, this is my enjoyment time. This is me having fun. And then later on, I'm like, okay, we need to dive into this.
See, I don't do that. First viewing for me is literally like, all right,
I want to enjoy it how it's supposed to be, and then we can sit and dissect it and all that stuff. But yeah, so first reactions of the episode, just off the bat. What did you guys think?
I don't know. I thought it was pretty entertaining how it kind of told the reality point of view from the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, that was interesting. Sherman?
Well, I like the way that they named this episode because it's specifically right because that's literally what we get. We get an interruption from the normal broadcasting of the show,
right? For
the real world, whatever we're doing with. It's an intermission.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is.
It won. I just got huge Lost vibes. You know how Lost would do that all the time, where they'd do one thing and then they'd jump back and let's see what this person was doing that whole time.
I literally watched 2 or 3 episodes of Lost today.
Really? Which is good. And then this whole episode to me just felt like it's the first time that I'm like, man, we're watching a Marvel movie right now. It felt like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
More than any of the Netflix Marvel TV shows, more than any of these other things. Those just felt like TV shows in the Marvel universe. This feels like a movie almost.
Right.
And I don't know. To be honest, my initial reaction after I sat down and just watched it, I was kind of disappointed, honestly, because I'm no, just in my whole crazy conspiracy board, I'm like,
you're related to this guy?
No. No, in general, the show was amazing, but I'm just saying, my whole crazy conspiracy board in the first episode when I said, if this show does what I think it's doing right now, it's going to be the greatest work of fiction ever, and I was just going crazy, and now I'm like, yeah, they did kind of what I expected them to do, and it's good. I love it, but I'm like, okay, they could have just gotten weird with it, and I think this episode was them kind of saying, all right, let's walk it back, let's show people what's going on here, because if we don't, there's going to be some viewers who stop watching, because there's going to be people who are just not.
I think that's just good writing, honestly.
Oh yeah, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm just, part of me just wanted the show to get weird, and it's like, okay, let's show you what's happening now. But all right, so The first scene, the dust reforming. What do you think? Do you got notes going through all the way, or should we just kind of go?
Not like heavily as detailed as you guys know.
Okay.
Bam.
Star Wars is more my heavily detailed notes.
Yeah.
So first off, I knew it was going to be a different episode because they had no TV opener like the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Where like there was them like showing up to town the first episode, or like the Bewitched cartoon episode.
Yeah.
So just straight off. All right,
in those episodes, like the Bewitched one, they had like an opening scene, and then there was the Bewitched thing. So I was like, wait, what's happening? Because it was all that like dust thing, and as soon as it formed together, I'm like, whoa.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I noticed that there was no TV opener for this episode,
right?
And like just straight to reality. It's like,
yeah,
okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. I got like big Walking Dead vibes for some reason, like in the hospital when everyone's freaking out, like, but not I put. Like reverse Walking Dead because
everybody just starts
everyone's coming in and it was like no one's like murdering each other. It's like the opposite. Like everyone's coming back and they're alive but it's still chaos because you're like, what the heck is happening? Like you see that one scene, there's a dude who just appears in some lady's room and like there's a lady in bed and like imagine just like just some random person popping into existence.
That's just it though. Like they didn't really cover that with Spider-Man Far From Home when they're just like, oh yeah, people just blipped in, no aging, no nothing.
I did go back and watch it though, and you can see that there's dust forming into people in Spider-Man Far From Home. I thought it just went boop, and they blipped into existence, but there's a little bit of dust. It does it faster than in this. This was like really slow motion in a couple of them, but I just take that to mean different directors and different art styles.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that because, like, even in at the very end of Infinity War, which I'm glad I just rewatched that, everybody like turns to dust in different like time frames.
Yeah,
because like Spider-Man took a while to fade out.
Yeah.
Nick Fury like fades out way slower than Maria Hill. So like, I mean, everybody's at a different pace.
Right. And it's weird that in Far From Home they just like all appeared at the same time, whereas in this one they all kind of like this person and that person that she's running down the hall and another person she runs into, but it makes sense. Like the only place we've ever seen people reforming was Far From Home,
right?
And then now this, so it just happens differently. I don't know. It was really cool. Yeah, the doctor in there, she was just like for some reason it struck me as like, man, you're really calm during all this stuff. Maybe because she just instantly ran into her and she's like, whoa, and she's not noticing all the other stuff happening because she's having...
How much you want to... Well, she was probably there when, like, the blip happened. So, like...
Well, the blip just started happening, and Monica wasn't really the first one to come back. She was in the middle of it all.
Right, but the doctor just seemed really... I mean, really focused on this conversation. If you were dead or something, and then, like, you were dead, and then all of a sudden my house is burning down, and then all of a sudden you come back and you're standing outside watching the house burn down, I'd be like, oh, Sherman, what the heck? How'd you get here? But I'd still be worried about my house and I'd be freaking out.
At the same time, like, if you were, but like, if you were there the moment, like, all these patients disappeared, wouldn't you, like, kind of have some semblance of, like, well, similar conversation, but just backwards. Where did all these people go?
I guess, yeah, for 5 years.
Nobody knows where they went.
She just
nobody knows where they came from.
It was weird, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
She's just really good at her job.
Yeah, I guess. She's really focused. I guess. Aren't surgeons, like, supposedly like that? They can just kind of tunnel vision and focus on the one thing.
Speaking of Lost, earlier, Jack Shepard, no, seriously, because, like, season 1, like, Jack Shepard's like, yeah, I count to 5, and then I'm like, all right, fear's just gone. I just do my job.
Okay. We could go through all the Easter eggs, and I don't really want to do that because there's 1,000 Easter egg videos. I just wanted to talk about it with you, but
because like I couldn't find anything for like Room 104 or like
I couldn't see anything with that. Just like little things like Maria, Photon Rambo plaque was up there. That was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, because then it switches over to showing like the sword base.
Yeah,
which is the first time they actually like break down what sword means on the screen.
It's division, not department.
I wrote it down. Sentient weapon observation response division.
Division. Okay.
But it was department in the comics.
Well, it was sentient world observation response, and now it's sentient weapon, and it's always been like that so far as we know. But yeah. Yeah, for some reason I was like, is there a time jump in there or something? But no, she gets reformed, and then like the next day she's like, well, might as well go to work and see what I can do.
I think it was 3 weeks later.
Oh, did it say that?
Yeah, it did.
Because the guy was like,
that?
like most, because the guy, when she's talking with the head guy of Sword or whatever, the director, he was saying
director Tyler Hayward.
Yeah, he said something about like, like most people, half of them didn't have the nerve or whatever, and you were back after 3 weeks.
Like, I think what he said was like after the blip, we lost half of our astronauts, then because they all got blipped away, and then the other half couldn't just take it because they were just all like out of their right mind. So I think now people are just starting to come back. Like she's like almost sounded like the first person to come back. Mm-hmm.
I think she's just back to work.
First person to come back to work. I mean,
which
everyone else is back, but they're just So that was kind of cool.
So I paused this when they first showed the base from outside. Yeah. Did you guys notice how like the base kind of looked out? It reminded me of like for some reason the way the base with like the roads around it had like a layout specifically outlined of like Vision's Mind Stone when he like has it in his head.
I didn't notice that. It was an octagon. We just paused it before you got here. It's an octagon. It's the same shape as Rambo's earrings when she gets put in there. I don't know. Just I think Sword is represented by an octagon, and then anything in Wanda's universe is a hexagon for some reason. So 8 and 6. Yeah. There's a lot of numbers to go through on this one. You have a lot of notes on all the numbers in this one.
I tried, man. Some of them I was just like...
Yeah. Well, we'll just kind of keep going through. It was cool that it was sentient weapons. So robotics, nanotech, and AI. Which, I don't know what that means, but they're creating weapons now. And there's like a Tony Stark... What's the show that's coming up? Weapon Wars or Armor Wars or something like that? There's a show coming up soon.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen a lot of people saying like, "Oh, this is where all the weapons came from," and everyone's like theorizing everything based off of this one little organization. They're like, "This is where mutants come from. This is where all the weapons come from for the future." And
right.
I don't know. This is skipping ahead a little bit, but I was so excited when Wu had his like conspiracy board. And all the names that popped up on there, because we're going through names a little bit, all the names that popped up, I was so excited to look them up and see if they were like mothers of comic book characters or something like that.
Were you disappointed when they're all like post-production are like
that's still really cool, but I was like, man, what if it was like, I don't know, Beast's mother or something? I know it wouldn't be that, but like some mutant's mother, or I don't know, it would just been cool. So yeah, I'm kind of there unless you guys have other things. So he brings her in and says, "You're grounded. You can't go to space." Which I want to go to. What the heck's going on in space right now? Nick Fury's up there with the Skrulls and doing all sorts of stuff. But he says you're grounded, and then he says that we're going to help out on an FBI missing persons thing. Who do you think the missing person was that Wu was looking for, and that they were originally tasked to go find? No.
See. That's the thing. I think.
You have a theory?
I don't really, but
I personally I think because like when she meets Wu, like he straight up says it's not a missing person, it's a missing town.
Oh.
That like.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is why it took me 3 hours to watch this. I like when he.
See, I took him when he said that. I took it as like, yeah, I came here for a missing person, but it's a missing town.
Like, yeah, so like his report essentially like when he's handed it.
Yeah.
Or when it's handed to him, he's probably like looking for like other, department help.
Maybe it is just a random person because there's a lot of people like speculating that it's Agnes or whatever, the witch or Dottie, the other girl, because they're the only people who aren't on the conspiracy board.
Yeah, so they're the only ones who haven't gotten any facial recognition on.
Right. Yeah. So maybe that's who Wu was looking after or whatever, but.
It's possible. I mean,
no, he said witness protection program later. He's like, it was someone in witness protection.
She says that.
Oh, okay. But, so it's someone in witness protection that he's going to check on, and they can't find that person. So then he finds that there's a missing town. So, I don't know. I honestly, it's probably going to be Agnes or Dottie, one of the two, that the FBI was hiding, but who knows.
Maybe. So do you guys watch it with subtitles?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know if it's just, like, the subtitles that were weird. Because, like, I noticed that when he says that he's looking through the residence, he's only through the D's. and then he hasn't pulled up diddly squat, when diddly was specifically capitalized. I'm like,
that is something.
It's got to be like a person, or like I was
Lou
like,
has the funniest sense of humor. He does stupid stuff like that all the time.
I think Diddley Scott.
No.
Squat or whatever.
Diddly specifically. Squat was normal, but like diddly was capitalized.
Oh, maybe.
And I'm
I thought the S was capitalized too.
I don't think so.
It could be just a joke or something, but it could just be the subtitles saying like names and then automatically.
Well, because I noticed that when they were listening through the names later in the episode, Isabel Matsueda, that had a typo in it for the subtitles too.
Oh, okay. So.
And like other people had noticed that online.
Yeah. Let's talk about Wu and learning magic. That was pretty sweet.
Oh my god!
I didn't catch it the first time. Wu doing magic. I didn't catch it the first time, and honestly, I wouldn't have even noticed it if I hadn't literally just watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Scott does his little card trick. He's like, "Look, I've been so bored," and he does his little card trick. And then later
up magic.
Later on in the movie, you see Wu trying to do magic tricks, and then he does it, and it's like sweet. He's learning.
So I noted on that part, but did you guys? So he said he flew out of Oakland when he was coming out to Westview.
Oakland, California.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So once again, rewatching a bunch of Marvel movies this weekend. Oakland is the exact spot for the beginning and end of Black Panther, so that's where they set up their international outreach program.
Oh.
So I'm just curious if they're going to tie that in as well, like
maybe later.
Technology at least
in Oakland. That's kind of cool. I didn't remember that. Did you watch Black Panther this
I
weekend?
did.
Oh, nice. You're just like, whoa, Oakland.
Exactly. And I watched these after WandaVision, so I'm like, yeah,
you're just noticing all these things. That's cool. So,
sorry, I'm high energy, Dustin.
I went down a heck of a rabbit hole because in Batman, I love trying to find where Gotham would be like in real life, and I've done like tons of research, and I have images, and I drew out like an actual Gotham. Like,
isn't it New Jersey?
It's basically New Jersey, but like trying to find exactly where on the coastline it is and stuff, like exactly, not just
because New York exists in DC, right?
Yeah. So I kind of did the same thing with this. I'm like, Westview has to be in there because there's a picture of her driving her car, and there's a map that says south, exit 32, and I'm like, I can find out where this is. There's got to be a Highway 2 in New Jersey, and there's got to be like some Highway 2 that 32 miles down the road is like a town or something like that. And I spent way longer than I'd like to admit trying to find out exactly where this was. But
is that what the exit numbers are for?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh, really?
I had no clue.
Yeah, when it says 32, you know how there's the mile markers?
Yeah.
The exits match up with the mile markers. Yeah. Little road trivia there.
I didn't know that.
Really? How long have you been driving?
Yeah, but dude, I drive in Duluth. Like, I drive in our hometown. Like, I don't look at like a lot of the exits. I'm like, oh, this is the exit I need.
So, all that to say, I think that this is. I did a whole bunch of like trying to find out where this town was. It was in this part of the town, this part of the state. There's like an old Highway 2, kind of like in Duluth, how Skyline Parkway is it's a road, but it's also like partially merged in with like Woodland Avenue and all these different things. There's a Highway 2 in New Jersey that is part of all these things that isn't a real highway anymore, but it's like used to be, so people like still talk about it. So I'm like, oh, there's where it is. But then I'm finally like, that I'm not going to worry about that. I just went by population, and so in WandaVision, the population is 3,820. 92. And so the closest town to that in New Jersey is Bethlehem Township. So I'm like, okay, there you go. It's Bethlehem Township in New Jersey, and it's a little bit west of New York, like just kind of out in the middle of nowhere there. So that was like 2 hours of me looking around, and I just had to mention it, but it's kind of a waste of time. Don't try to find out where it is. It's a fictional city.
Yeah. So, did you guys look at like the signs that are on the Westview sign?
Oh, what the symbols were?
Yeah. I couldn't get the green one.
The one on the far right?
Not the far right.
That one, the like torture.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Eagle Club, the Night.
So it goes Labor and Industry International, Grain and Oats Agricultural Committee, Eagle Club International. The green one, which I just says Westview with the torch and olive branches.
Okay.
And then Eye on the Street Neighborhood Watch.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Which I thought was funny because there's literally, from the point of view, like even though you can see like the green street signs in the background, it literally shows one way in, one way out for like point of view.
Oh, okay. When I first watched it, I'm like, the cops went into the town, but then like, no, you hear them turn around. It doesn't. It honestly, the sound effect was kind of added in, and it honestly sounded like whoever was watching it, they're like, the way we shot it looks like the cops just went into the city, so we need to put a sound effect in there. So it was like, like the cops turning around was like the loudest, most obnoxious thing. I'm like, okay, these cops really want to get out of there.
This is, and then they do the helicopter drone.
Yeah, they do the helicopter drone. That goes in. That drone looked kind of weird. Like it looked like one of those handheld vacuums, kind of like those old school handheld vacuums with the big head on it.
That's funny.
But yeah, I was like trying to figure out where Woo's car was. I know I saw that car there, but when the drone went in, I'm like, oh, that came in like close to us. But then later on, there's a shot of Woo standing right next to his car, and like the field being right beyond that car. So I don't know. Even Rosie, when she just watched it, she's like, oh, that car is right there. That must mean something. I'm like, no, there's a scene where it shows the Woo standing behind it. So yeah.
I didn't even think about the color concept or the color combination for the like real world drone. I was just like, all right, cool. So now we know why the drone was in the second episode.
Yeah, right. Well, and it looked completely different. But it was just the same colors, yeah. They put in a lot of drones, too, because she put that drone in, then she gets sucked in, and then, I didn't count them, I guess, but I was going to count them. There's like 5 or 6 drones that they put in there.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, where the heck are all those?
I know, where did all those go? Yeah, that's weird. Then we see Darcy again. That was really cool.
I was like, exclamation point, Darcy!
Yeah. As soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh, this is probably who Paul Bettany was like, oh, there's a lot of people in this that you haven't seen before.
I think that's the person he was referring to as well.
Well, there's Darcy, and then Woo, and then... Woo's smaller, yeah.
I think Darcy's more likable, I guess.
Well, she's been in 2 of the movies so far.
Aha. 2 of what movies?
The Marvel movies. She's been in both, like the first 2 Thors. Yeah, I suppose. So yeah, they got a bunch of scientists and stuff, put in lots of drones. And she's Dr. Lewis, not Mrs. Lewis. I just thought that was funny. So that radiation stuff, did you say you have notes on that? That she is talking about? I just have a
theory.
Yeah, so she, I don't know how she detected it, but she's an astrophysicist, so she's like looking at she whatever things astrophysicists look at, right?
She was looking at different like radiation spectrums.
Yeah. She was looking at the cosmic radiation caused by the Big Bang.
Yeah. So right. I have a little notes on the science, the real world science of that, and how this is the whole universe is actually happening in the universe. What's your theory on it, or should I talk about science
It has
first?
nothing to do with that and everything to do with something else.
Okay, so we'll talk about that after I tell this. So CMBR, I didn't even know this, and so it was kind of an interesting thing. And so as much time as I put into trying to find the real world location of Westview, man, I was up till like 2:30 in the morning on Friday.
And you're baffled that it took me 3 hours to watch this show?
I know. I'm just, the first time I'm saying I just blasted through it. But so CMBR, have you guys ever heard of this before this show at all?
Not once.
No, I like vaguely sounded familiar that like the static on TV is something, but then like reading into it, I'm like, this is so cool because I don't know, it just gets crazy. So I'll just kind of read the highlights. But CMBR, some of the snow on your television set, like the old school TVs before they were digital and stuff, it says about 1% or less, and this is from universetoday.com, but about 1% or less comes from background radiation left over from the Big Bang. The same is true for FM radios. So that part of that hiss you hear is that white noise, which is leftover radiation from the Big Bang. So when you're turning your radio dial, like that hiss, you're kind of hearing the echo, if you will, of the Big Bang going off. And so, yeah.
Big Bang.
Well, and I'll get to that too. So some of the atoms present at the time were quickly broken apart. So when the Big Bang happened, the theory is that the Big Bang, everything in the universe was down to like an inch in diameter or something like that. Just all the matter was this tiny, tiny little super dense ball.
Floating where?
In nowhere. Exactly. I'll get to that. I'm not saying this is completely what I believe, but
hate the Big
Let's
Bang.
just rip out our Marvel conspiracy theory and then switch over
creationism
versus
in WandaVision, we have to put in this TV universe the Big Bang happened. We just have to accept that in this fictional universe.
I'll accept it.
So, what happened was the Big Bang was this tiny little ball. It exploded, and then about 400 or 300,000 years later, I don't know, but something like that, the molecules were still pretty dense, and it was kind of like a fog everywhere. It was expanding super fast, but the universe is huge, so hundreds of thousands of years later, this is the theory, but it was at this point where it was like this big thick fog, kind of like when you're shining a flashlight through a fog, you know, and you can see the beam of light.
Through a fog.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a different word too.
Yeah. But so it got to this expansion point though, where there was electrons and photons like joined together, and then when it expanded far enough, the electrons and photons broke apart, and then so when those photons, the light broke apart, it bounced off of all the electrons, and that crazy bouncing of all those billions and billions of trillions, quadrillions of atoms bouncing off each other, that all the photons going, all that bouncing is all the static you see on your TV, like the static. All those little black and white, not all of them, but...
I was going to say, you said 1%.
Yeah, right. But...
less.
There was someone in...
you know what's less than 1?
So this is found by accident in 1965. There's two scientists, it's a long story, but they realized that the noise came uniformly all across the sky and all over the earth. They're like, how come the same type of static happens in New Zealand as it does in the Netherlands, as it does in Africa? It's the same radiation. And
how come the same oxygen is...
I know, but it's just a weird thing, and we had radios for a really long time, but then all of a sudden they just started measuring it, and there's a measurable difference, you know, depending on where like the sun is and the other stars in the universe are. You can see the static kind of like shift because there's different amounts of photons going through everything. So, anyways, this radiation is linked to Wanda because she got her power from the Infinity Stones. And the Infinity Stones were created at the Big Bang, and because her powers are linked to this type of radiation, she's able to alter reality, and in a way, her little pocket universe is like creating its own Big Bang, kind of, because the things that she's creating actually exist. Because when Geraldine was thrown out, she had her costume on, you know, so she's actually creating this stuff, and because her powers are kind of using this radiation in a way, that is why there's a broadcast going out, because she's taking that CMBR radiation, that static, just like Darcy saw, and like you can see it because you're standing right next to it, you know. So I don't know, it was just really cool, and I'm probably not explaining it really well, but it's cool that like it's all based on like actual scientific stuff, obviously to the nth degree, and it's impossible.
I was gonna say, like,
it's impossible,
stretched,
but it's interesting that it's based at least on realistic stuff. And so my whole real world theory with, you know, obviously I'm a Christian, I believe that God created the universe. When he spoke and said, let there be light, he created the universe, and that ripping apart and creation of atoms, that echo is what we see when we turn our radio dial. It's like, whoa, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It's just kind of cool.
Now, did it happen in the blink of an instant, or did it actually maybe happen over the course of 24 hours of a day?
Right. Well, I don't know.
Another good question.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm sorry that was a long tangent, but it was super fascinating to me, and yeah, it's kind of cool.
Thank you, Professor Chris. I mean, yes. I feel like I was back in 8th grade science class.
So, back to pop culture.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Dustin, what's your theory?
It has nothing to do with WandaVision.
Oh, okay. Well,
it has everything to do with what WandaVision is doing.
Oh.
Outside of the plot.
Okay, well, what's your theory? Or do you want to get into it later?
We can do it at the end. It doesn't pertain anything to the plot, so it's not
really
helpful.
Okay.
See, I like that they brought up CMBR because comic book wise, that is how Fantastic Four gets their powers.
That's what Dustin said too. Does it specifically say CMBR in Fantastic Four?
Well, cosmic radiation.
Okay. Cosmic radiation, yeah. So there's like a concentration of that.
But he did say there was a group of astronauts.
Earlier, yeah, there's an astronaut program not going well. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Basically, the director said that we have a group of astronauts that still haven't returned back.
Oh.
And so I'm thinking that group of astronauts and also the CMBR, Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
That's where
that
cool. Theory went.
Which does like kind of coincide with like how like a Doctor Doom style like origin would start off as well.
That too.
Because especially since like early on when he's talking about how they've been focused more on AIs, sentient like, you know, robotics, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like how he would get like his metallic skin.
Yeah.
Wasn't Doctor Doom also a part of the astronauts that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just the one that went bad.
Yeah.
Yep. It depends on which story you go with, because like some of them like say that he was the one that like funded all of their like projects, and so he was like, well, if we're gonna do this, I want to come with, which is why like he got stuck in there.
Wonder if Elon Musk has ever flown up in one of his rockets yet. He's probably going to be one of the first people. I could totally see him going up there.
Well, I mean, he's got the money for it now.
Yeah. Well, he's the one, like, creating the whole program, so yeah. We see Agent Franklin go in after Darcy is this before or after Darcy sees the CMBR?
That's way after, because...
Way after?
Yeah, so they're recording on different episodes, which I started questioning stuff because, like, so you specifically see Darcy like put down the notepad, which you see in like episode at the very end of episode 1.
Yeah, I like how it was the exact shot too. That was cool.
But my question is, so when they start like noticing all the other people in the show, and they notice Geraldine or Monica, when in this, I don't remember any part of the show where Agnes and Wanda go shopping.
No, I don't either.
So that made me question, like, so is the show that they're watching on a loop?
I was thinking that. I was like, oh, is it the same show and we're just whatever? But Darcy does say, next time Wanda's next to her radio washing dishes, which she does about once an episode. Yuck. Does that mean that like there's a ton of episodes and they're just
that
like,
they're watching but we're not?
Right. That they get to see a bunch of episodes and they're seeing all this stuff and then we're just seeing like the important episodes, if you will. Which I don't know. It's either on a loop or they're just airing episodes the whole time, or maybe it's happening.
Because that's what I was kind of curious about.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of getting the feeling that it's happening. Like there's other episodes that we're seeing, like that scene with Geraldine and Wanda and Agnes. They were like kind of like doing this weird dance thing. It was weird, but that scene we never see before.
Yeah.
So it's either a deleted scene that Wanda deleted out of the version that we saw, or they're seeing other episodes that we're not seeing. So yeah,
I think it is something to that degree, because remember when Darcy notices that there's certain weird edits that go on, like especially with the end with Geraldine. So I think there is some kind of different cut that we're not seeing.
Right. Either different cut or other episodes, and I don't know. I like how when they discover the CMBR, I'm kind of going in order how I took notes. So I think the B-Man does come into play here because he goes in and then a whole bunch of stuff happens, and then later on you see him again in the tunnel. So
yeah, this is the part where the beekeeper Franklin goes in.
Franklin goes in, and it's like, oh, okay, so no mystery, just random guy.
This is also why it took me 3 hours, because I took all my notes in order as the show goes on.
Yeah, so did I. What? I'm just kidding. I like how I don't remember who says it. Is it Wu or it's that other military guy? He's like, so the universe created a sitcom starring 2 Avengers? And I'm like, whoa.
Wu says that.
Yeah, talk about a meta comment, man. Because, like, they created a sitcom with 2 Avengers in it. That's what happened in our real world. It's just kind of cool. I don't know. And then they show a picture of the map of the city, and everyone's like, oh, it's a hexagon. It's a hexagon. The streets change. Like, they don't match up. There's 2 streets there. There's one going, like, it's obviously images or satellite images, if you will, of the town of Westview, but in different decades.
I think it changes.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly changes in between the first and second episode, but we don't really see the outside in the first episode. And we see it a little bit in I don't know. Like, the streets themselves do change shape, so I don't know, it's just kind of cool. The area stays the same, but it's just got like any city, you know, over the course of 10 years. I don't know. I was going to say some streets do change, but not really.
How did you get over the Disney Plus screenshot hack?
I just took a picture with my camera.
Because it also depends, because I don't know if they would necessarily change, considering they reference, I want to say like 4 or 5 different like types of like scans, because they have like radar, satellite,
and maybe this is like a zoomed in version of this.
Sodar.
And maybe this is a zoomed in.
Did they say that?
Sodar.
Yeah.
I remember they said Sodar, and I was like, don't you mean sonar? I'm like, nope, Sodar.
Weird.
Oh, well, maybe now I'm seeing how it could kind of be. This maybe is just a zoomed in version of that, in a way, because there's the 2 lines going down, 2 there. But either way, I just thought it was interesting. It looks like they change unless they're just zoomed in weird, but which would kind of make sense if she's altering reality. But to me, it was like, man, yeah. Next, we get. On my notes, we get my conspiracy board, and I was so happy. I kind of am mad that we didn't make the conspiracy board, because I'm like, man, they literally did it in the show. It was so cool. All the questions that all the YouTubers and everyone have had, like, they're asking them on that, like, whiteboard. It was so funny.
So, I kind of want to know, though, because, so first off, what happened? Did you guys notice the change in color when Agent Franklin, like, comes out of the...
Yeah, that was a cool
I
shot.
thought that was super awesome, where it, like, all
cool.
fades to, like, black and white.
Yeah.
When you, like,
it, like, almost went
turned
sepia, and then it went black and white. It was just really cool.
But I want to know what happened to him. Because, like...
Oh, in episode 3, the 70s, he's serving ice cream. He's in the intro thing, the Wandavision. He's the dude serving ice cream.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, that's the actor. It's the same actor that went in as the B guy, and it's the same actor in there, so... She just appropriated him into her
world.
Show. Yeah. So, I don't know. That was a question I had, too. But it was kind of cool.
Alright, so your whiteboard.
I don't have a ton of it. People have, like, broken down what each person's thing says. There's not, honestly, like, a ton of super interesting stuff on there. But I was just really excited to see my conspiracy board. And that the show is doing exactly what we're doing and what the entire internet is doing right now. They're trying to break it down and make it, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? The show was asking those same questions, and I just thought it was so cool.
So, have you guys seen or, like, heard about, like, the theory that, like, we as, like, actual, like, people are living in a simulation?
Yeah.
So, like, I wrote down that, I was like, are we watching the show, and is SWORD watching us, or, like, a different organization similar to SWORD watching us, making sure, like, or using WandaVision as, like, a tool, because it's such a popular, like, medium for, like, people in general, that, like, so many people would watch it, getting us to focus on this so that we don't get too close to the real world problems that are out in the world. I was like, conspiracy, like, Inception, man.
Next time you come, you should have a tinfoil hat on.
I might.
Next WandaVision, we should all wear tinfoil hats.
I specifically wrote down super meta. I was like,
ah! I don't know, I just thought it was cool. I love how Marvel does that. Like, they did it with, I don't know, the first one I noticed that they did it with was Winter Soldier. Like, there was a lot, like, that's when Snowden and,
oh, yeah.
other government, like, cover-ups and stuff was coming out, and then Winter Soldier hits, and it's like, whoa, this is talking about kind of exactly what's happening in our culture right now. When Black Panther hit, like what you were saying, you just watched it, when that went down, we were going through a lot of racial tensions in our world.
Not only that,
I mean,
but
not
like
as much as today even, but like it was like starting to ramp up, and that movie came out at a really pivotal time, and Marvel kind of does that, and I don't know, I just love it. That's kind of why I'm thinking they're holding off on Black Widow coming out, because I feel like they were going to release it, and the world has changed so much since then. They're like, what are we going to do with this movie? Mm-hmm. It doesn't apply now, you know? I mean, it would still be good, but it wouldn't hit culturally as much as it would have a year ago. So,
Black Widow?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know what the movie's totally about, but I'm just saying... Oh. I'm sure there's something in it that they were hoping to hit culturally, like WandaVision, like Black Panther, like Winter Soldier, and it's not going to hit as much because coronavirus happened and the world is not the same anymore.
All right.
So, I don't know.
So this is, I think, when we get Agent Wu and Darcy trying to use the radio?
I think so. Yes, yeah. I just put Wanda edits out mistakes, but yeah, that's where they...
Well, I kind of thought it was weird because, like, Wanda... It in her own world, we've seen it, like, actually affect her. Mm-hmm. But, like, the version that they're seeing outside, it gets censored. So, like...
Right.
I was questioning, like, is Wanda actually censoring that, or is, like, somebody else? Mm-hmm. Because, like, we've had... Like, there have been theories about, like, the different, like, commercials that show for, like, Hydra Soak and the Strucker Watch having, like, ties to, like, Hydra and AIM.
I like how it showed that Darcy was watching the commercial.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, cool. So it's something that's actually happening in that universe, or in her little pocket universe, you know. So
yeah, but that's what made me think, like, is somebody else censoring it and not Wanda? Because, like, from an outside perspective with the radiation, like, you would think that, like, you'd still be able to see that.
I honestly, like, my theory is that Wanda is doing all of it. Like Geraldine says, it's all Wanda. It's all Wanda. There's obviously other influences, and who knows who Agnes is and who Dottie is, and there's just enough mystery in it. But
yeah,
I feel like Wanda's doing kind of like what we do when we remember things, or even things that just happened. Like, an hour from now, I'm going to be talking about us, or thinking about us hanging out down here, and I'm going to be like, oh, that was really cool. It went just like this. The story that I have in my head is different from how it actually happened. And Wanda has the ability to create that and broadcast it out. So I think this is what we're seeing broadcasted out is the story that is playing in her head. Like, I'm just not going to remember that Sherman picked his nose or something halfway through the recording. I'm just going to block that part out. I'm just going to remember us talking.
But, like,
you know,
but nothing changed for, like, when they try to connect to her through the radio. The radio part gets blipped out, but, like, Dottie still has, like, a cut hand, no explanation.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why I'm like...
But you don't see it on there. You don't see her cut hand. She's just holding...
But she's like, now I'm going to tell you how to get, like, blood out of, you know...
White linen?
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, is somebody else censoring the... Like, you know...
I don't think so. Yeah. But who do you think it would be? Yeah. Yeah, so they do that. I like... Oh, that's him turning to black and white. We talked about that. I like how when Wu and Darcy see the baby, Darcy's like, do you want one? And Wu's like, oh, yeah. I mean, someday, you know, if I ever settle down, I want... a chip? Okay. I like how he has that little misunderstanding.
I wouldn't mind a little Jimmy Woo running around.
I just thought it was so funny. I'm really liking Wu. He's hilarious.
I hope he's like the next Coulson. Just heavily featured in everything.
Yeah, like he's in everything. He's like competent enough, but he's also like funny enough and just dorky enough that it just works. I don't know what it is, but it works.
I would like to, especially with the fact that like he's got a team up right now with Darcy.
Yeah.
I would love to see him and Darcy like make like a big appearance in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Just like show back up, be like, oh hey, we're here to help out.
They're like still studying stuff.
How is all this?
They get together to like just watch WandaVision and chill.
How is this what? What were you gonna say?
Oh, how does all this going to pertain to Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, too?
Right.
I don't know.
With Agent Wu in it, at least.
I think Marvel's like getting us exposed to just crazy concepts. Like first it was like shrinking down to the quantum universe, then it was time travel, now it's background radiation from the Big Bang, and like they're obviously priming us to get ready for like alternate reality and new content and whatever weird stuff's gonna happen. But yeah. I like this scene when, so it kind of jumps forward, and this is when right before Geraldine is ejected.
Yeah.
I love the scene where we're in the Sword headquarters, and it zooms into the TV, and then it goes inside the TV, just like the Matrix. I thought that was so. Remember the when Neo was getting interrogated by Agent
Smith?
Yeah, I can't think of words right now.
Jeez.
I've talked too much. But yeah, it zooms in, goes into the TV, and I don't know. I was just really excited to see that. It was a cool effect. And again, they did the like small screen to big screen thing again, and I don't know. That effect is just super cool too.
I thought this part was cool, seeing like Wanda actually use her powers.
The first real powers, like not just smoke or mirrors. It's just her actually.
Right.
Yeah. It was cool too that we got to see, because the last episode when that came out, I'm like, they must have edited something or cut those scenes or something like that. But then when Geraldine's like flying through the air, because you see that in the preview, but then we saw last week's episode and we didn't see it. So I'm like, oh, they must have cut it.
But you see it in this.
Yeah, but then you see it in this, so that was kind of cool to fill that gap.
So, here's I thought about this a lot.
Okay.
So specifically with where they are in their house during episode 3, during this whole thing when like she gets blown out, and then like you see it in this episode.
Yeah.
So the way that their house is, the layout of the house is, she gets blown out towards the side of the house where the front door is lined up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So in the last episode, Vision at this exact point is outside talking to Agnes and Herb in the front yard. And like Monica gets blown out through essentially what is the front of the house.
Right.
But nobody sees a thing.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I thought it was through the side of the house, because she went through one wall and then a bedroom and then the outer wall.
Yeah, she went through one wall, then she went through the nursery, then she
No, I get that, but I'm saying like with the layout of the house, like because the front door is on that same side.
Yeah, I know.
And like nobody sees a thing.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I honestly wanted to like pause it and like rewatch that part of it to see, because it shows an outside view, but it's just a side door. I don't know. It's just weird.
But like it's the same door that like he takes the doctor in and out of.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I know.
Again, that just raises the question: why didn't anyone hear it
or see anything?
Right.
Yeah, she's just reprogramming their brains and whatever.
Well, Vision's not really here. So.
It was this scene was really cool though, because after she threw Geraldine out, it zooms in on her like through the broken wall. She's crying, like she's teared up, like tears are coming down out of her eyes. And then she like composes herself, and then like gets back into character. Then she makes the wall, and then she looks at her babies. Like she's slowly getting more and more like back into character. But when she lets loose and uses her powers, like she just like touches that pain that she's trying to hide through this whole thing, and she becomes like her real person again.
Right.
And I don't know, that was really powerful to me. I'm like, whoa, she's crying right now because she is just getting affected by all these memories again. So that was cool.
So yeah, looks back at her babies, door opens.
Dude.
I almost crapped my pants.
I was upstairs. We were feeding Rhea, and Rosie wasn't paying attention in that moment, and so I just had my feet up, and I'm whoa! I just yelled because it just freaked me out. And honestly, I think that's why I've been so freaked out about ghosts lately, because I saw that episode and I have it on my mind. I don't know. It wasn't that scary, but it was just like.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, this is when Vision walks in. Sorry, we totally jumped the gun on that. Yeah. And you see his busted face. Or head, I suppose. Like, his face is totally fine, but...
Yeah. And this time, I noticed that his head is like busted in a little bit sideways. It's like it's not symmetrical, and I'm like, man, that's so cool. Because if Thanos was like reaching in to grab that jewel, he would grab it like from the side a little bit and like scoop it out.
It lines up exactly with how his face looks at the end of Infinity War.
I just never noticed the like hole in his head being like that. Like you can almost see the finger marks from I don't know. So, question. There's 3 options here. Is Vision just a corpse that she's animating? Did she create a new one and like new Vision and she just remembers him broken? Or is it kind of a mix where he's like reanimated and has a new mind? Or is he an actual person? What do you guys think? You don't know.
I honestly don't even know, man. Like,
yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
You don't know. Like, is she just animating a corpse this whole time? And can the other people, because other people can kind of like tell what's going on even though they can't control their thoughts. Are they just watching her walk around with like a dead guy the whole time, like Weekend at Bernie style? Like, that makes like that scene where the wife was like, stop it, stop it, stop it. Like, there's a dead person sitting right there that you're just animating like a puppet.
No, I don't think so.
No, you don't think it's like that? Okay.
I think that Vision is actually there, but like because when she looks at him, that's what she sees, and I think that's specifically because like Monica brought up Ultron and like the past, and so like that's the last thing, like the last time she actually saw him.
Yeah.
Because they don't explain what they did with Vision's body at the end of Infinity War or Endgame.
Here's another question. Do you think this is happening, just speculation, but do you think this is happening before Tony Stark's funeral or after Tony Stark's funeral? After? Because in that scene, she seemed... I mean...
Because Wanda was there.
Wanda was there, and she's like, no... Because Hawkeye is like, I wish that she could know that Scarlet Witch could know that we... And she's like, they do. They both do. And everyone online is like, see, that shows that she had a connection with Vision or something. And it's like, okay, I don't know. That everyone says that. Like, if someone dies or something, you're like, yeah, I'm sure they know that everything turned out good for you. Or like, or they're watching you, looking down on you from heaven or something. You know, like, that's just a thing you say. But I'm kind of thinking that, like, after watching this episode, I'm like, man, she seemed like okay. Like, she's dealt with her pain a little bit in Endgame. So I'm like, I wonder if this happens a little bit before, and that funeral scene anyways, you know, obviously the snap happens, but is this how she got to that place where she's okay? I don't know. Like, there's the big, awesome, crazy battle, then she takes Vision's body and, like, just goes and deals with, like, holy crap, I died. Vision's dead.
I feel like this has to happen after the funeral.
You think?
Like, way after the funeral, because, well, not so, like, way after the funeral, but...
Yeah.
3 weeks.
No, that's actually pretty spot on, because, like...
It's literally said in the show.
Because...
I suppose, yeah.
Because, yeah, when... Wanda was one of the people that got blipped out.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets brought back.
But they have a big, huge battle.
Huge fight.
Yeah.
Tony's the first one, like, the most recent death for her, I guess.
I suppose if Tony died saving the world, you wouldn't have his funeral, like, 3 weeks later. or 6 months later. You'd have it,
right?
like, a week or two later. But it is happening around the same time as her at that funeral. So I'm like, it could be happening beforehand. It's possible anyways. And if it is, this show, I feel like, is kind of showing how she's dealing with that grief. And I don't know, maybe not. It has to happen afterwards, I guess. Because where would Vision be? Is Vision real in this show? And is he going to come back and be a person? I don't know. These are the questions that I like thinking about, though. And it's
they don't say anything after Infinity War. So, like,
yeah,
when his body was left behind,
yeah,
and he's not, like, sentient or anything, or I mean, like, mortal.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be in Wakanda, though. His body. Why would... I don't know. It's all speculation.
Right?
He was just sitting there.
Yeah.
In the woods.
There's some moss growing on it.
I doubt that.
The moss brought him alive. That's the answer. Wakandan moss. There you go.
Vision is the new Black Panther.
Yeah. He just comes over there floating around, shooting things from his head. Yeah. Okay.
Has claws come out of his hands. Yeah. I am the Black Vision.
Marvel's like, so Paul Bettany, we have like a 20 movie story arc for you. Are you ready for this?
At first,
Yes.
not gonna lie, I don't think that could like even get past this like the board of directors, because it'd be like, all right, we have an idea we want to pitch to you guys. We're gonna take the Black Panther mantle away from a black person and give it to a cybernetic like robot. What?
Played by a white guy.
Played by a white guy, right? Oh man.
A European white guy at that.
So Netflix adaptation of Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got for this episode. You guys got anything else? Oh yeah. What was your theory? Your theory about CMBR?
It has nothing to do with CMBR.
Okay.
It has everything to do with the WandaVision is Marvel's Mandalorian.
Okay. Yep.
Because the Mandalorian introduced the Rangers of the New Republic and introduced the Ahsoka show all in the same time period. So WandaVision is going to introduce this element and this element, like the Fantastic Four thing. Like I think that's a hint at that. Or I've seen things where there's like hints at the Eternals or hints at this stuff. I think that's just they're introducing their future content through this show. Yeah. Like Mandalorian did with others.
I could see that. There's like a lot of little offshoot things that will definitely tie into this, and
just like Wu, like he's got to be back for Quantumania, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a good theory. I believe it. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Everything's connected.
Cool.
Oh, I put the Vision smile at the end. Seems so uncomfortable, but then he just goes right on.
Yeah.
He's like, all right.
Well, he
Just
totally
goes
does
right
this
back
thing
to
where he's like smiling at Wanda, then he looks at the camera and like he looks right at you, and it's like, man, is he looking at me?
I didn't see it as him looking at the camera.
He just looks like he's like scared. Like, what is happening right now?
Where did you notice this part?
Which part?
I just read some theories on that.
Recent.
Wanda seems like she could be possessed, possibly. I've seen theories where she's like possessed by Mephisto or whatever, and so I'm just like, I don't know, the way she, like you were saying, she changes her mood so quickly between the reality and all these different states. Like, yes, it's Wanda's doing, but someone could be controlling Wanda as well, like doing all this,
making the false reality. Yeah, or
using Wanda for.
I was gonna
purpose.
say, like, I like the idea of it being her just dealing with pain in her own messed up way, but like.
Planes too.
Yeah.
See, I like that actually, because
you'd have reality, you'd have Wanda's, and then you'd have the person manipulating Wanda's, which is the actual baddie of this show.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's no bad person, there's no villain to the show like Marvel always has, other than maybe Wanda is.
Well, so I did see a theory about like Tyler Hayward, like the director of S.W.O.R.D., being like tied into a villain because he shares because he's got the last name as Brian Hayward, who was like a Hydra super soldier in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Tyler Hayward?
Tyler Hayward is the director of S.W.O.R.D.
Yeah.
Or acting director. But in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. there's a Hydra supervillain named Brian Hayward.
Whoa. Okay.
So, son or brother? Or
maybe like there's no like
Hydra / AIM or some. He could be using S.W.O.R.D. as
exactly
evil something.
But the theory that she could be possessed like kind of ties in with. I like every episode so far has had like a specific song. Yeah. Like title or like attributed to this one.
What was this?
And
one?
Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Which Voodoo Child in parentheses slight return. So the theory is there's one theory. So
I read through the lyrics of it. I didn't write them down because I'm like, oh,
so the very first lyric,
perfectly with
very first lyric though is talks about meeting up at a mountain. Yeah. And some people are thinking that it's Mount Gundamore or Wandagore. Jeez.
Wandagore from
House of M.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know. All the lyrics, they're very poetic and all that stuff, but they totally applied to this
Every episode.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, well, yeah, that's all I got on this one. So,
I spelled child wrong.
You guys
Chid.
got anything else?
Chid.
I did like how every single person that they got facial recognition for was from New Jersey. Every person.
Okay.
I know that they're in New Jersey,
I didn't
but
notice
like,
that.
yeah, I was looking at every single driver's license on their like. I like got so close. I'm like, hold on, how tall is this guy? Like, what is? I pulled it up on my phone. I was like, what is a New Jersey driver's license actually look like?
You were like as deep as I was in the CMBR. And
well, because technically, New Jersey driver's license, all of these are technically fake.
Yeah. Because
they should have like a little golden star in the top right hand corner. But,
okay.
I know, right?
Sorry, we missed a little golden circle.
That's funny.
Do you want your gold star, Sherman?
Did you guys notice that? Sorry, this is going back. Jimmy Woo wrote down scrolls on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
What was that like?
To me, that is interesting because it shows that just regular FBI agents are aware that scrolls exist. So, like.
Well, I mean, he's obviously had to do some work with S.H.I.E.L.D. Because, like, dealing with Ant-Man, like...
with Ant-Man, though. Like, he's just the FBI agent in charge of Ant-Man. Like, he didn't do anything with S.H.I.E.L.D. in that movie. So, I don't know. We don't know, but from what we've seen, he's not worked with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Maybe that's
ever.
a hint at something.
Especially because, like, he's doing, like, collaborations with S.W.O.R.D. Like...
Yeah.
He's kind of leading this whole, like, operation, or, like, co-leading it with, Director Hayward.
Yeah.
But, like...
Well, he just called in for backup wanting a drone. And then, yeah, it's crazy.
But, to, like, further your theory, bringing in, like, Secret Wars, like, because the whole Skrull, like, Kree invasion thing going on. Yeah. So, Secret Invasion, because I know they're planning on doing that, too.
Yeah, they have that, yeah.
Huh.
Cool.
But, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, thanks, everybody, for watching and sticking with us for an hour. But this is...
Holy crap.
This has been a really cool episode, and we were so excited to talk about it. Sorry we got a little deep with all our dives, but deep. But yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Tell us your theories.
Yeah,
I want to hear those.
Yeah, if you guys have any theories, like, is Vision just a reanimated corpse the whole time? Is she just puppeteering this little corpse?
Let us know in the comments.
Is Chris too nerdy with his real world science facts?
No, you don't need to let us know. We already know. It's yes. But feel free to make fun of them in the comments about the science.
I guess on any platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, let us know anywhere.
Yeah. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And that's all we got for this episode.
We need like a Marvel sign out.
No, we're leaning in. Okay. Gotcha.